All right, so this is day 2 of 6.6. So our essential question today is, how do I find the roots of a polynomial equation?
So in the last lesson, if you recall, we factored by grouping. So we can solve an equation to find all the roots like we did by factoring. If there's 4 terms like we did in the last lesson, we factor by grouping, just like I just said. Typically though, however, there are the majority of the time there's going to be 4 or less terms, which means you can factor it. Okay? What we're going to run into in this lesson is there's going to be times where the polynomial has more than 4 terms. That means factoring will not work.
Okay.
So what we're going to do when factoring does not work, then we are going to have to use the graphing calculator to find the real roots, and then synthetic division to find the roots that are not real, which are called complex roots.
Got it.
Okay? So a lot of this lesson is going to be done in class because of the graphing calculator.
Right.
But let's see what we have going on the next page here. At least I'm trying to get to the next page. There we go. And let's go through what this says.
Okay.
The degree of the function is the same as the number of zeros.
Which we talked about.
We talked about. This is true for all polynomial functions. However, all of the zeros are not necessarily real.
Okay.
And that's what we have to remember. We're going to get zeros, but they don't all have to be real. Please do that. Polynomial functions like quadratic functions may have complex zeros that are not real numbers. And that's what we're going to run into in this lesson.
Okay.
Let's go through example 1 because let's just look at this. This is just a general, this is really a review. It says solve the equation by finding all the roots.
Okay.
Number 1, how many terms do we have, Miss Boyd?
3.
3. So if there's 4 or less terms, we can solve by factoring. So because there's 3, that's a trinomial. Number 1, is there a greatest common factor? No. So let's set it up like a normal factoring problem where we do the 2 sets of parentheses. Can we do that? Because we can't factor by grouping because there's not 4 terms. Equals 0. So normally we write x and x, but the first term is x to the 4th. So what 2 variables multiplied together give us x to the 4th? X squared and x squared. Exactly.
Put those here and here.
Right. Now what we have to think of, what 2 numbers will multiply to negative 16 and add to 15? So I think right now 4 and 4, right? 4 times 4 is 16. However, 4 plus 4 is 8.
Right. I'm thinking negative 16 and 1.
Okay.
No, positive 16.
Positive
16,
16,
positive
right.
15.
And she is right.
Sweet.
So positive 16,
Oh, 15.
16.
Oh, yeah, because we got to multiply. Oh, it's been a long day, guys. Sorry.
Positive.
I'll just redo it. Just give me a moment. I'll redo it. No,
Why?
it's a negative 1. See, it's been a long day. Okay, let's just start that one. Here we go.
Okay.
Positive 16 and negative 1.
Now, if we look at x squared plus 16, can we factor that anymore?
No.
No. So let's just bring that down. X squared plus 16.
Do you want
And
keep it in
oh,
parentheses?
definitely.
All right.
Can we factor x squared minus 1 anymore?
No.
Sure we can. It's a difference of 2 perfect squares. X plus 1, x
I got what
minus
you
1.
meant. I thought, could we take anything out?
No.
Okay.
No.
X plus 1, x minus 1.
Set it equal to
Perfect.
0.
All equal to 0.
So now what we do is we look. Can any of those be factored anymore? No.
No.
So now what we have to do now, we have to set each
both
factor equal to 0. So let's do that. X squared plus 16 equals 0. X plus 1 is equal to 0. And x minus 1 is equal to 0.
Got it. I'm going to do the easy ones first.
Great.
So we're going to add 1. X equals 1.
Nice.
Here we're going to subtract 1. X equals negative 1.
Nice.
So here we've got 2 answers. So
Boy,
it's fine, Missy.
it says 1.
It says minus 1.
Oh, and then we just do,
Oh boy. Anyways,
we get it. Okay,
now let's do this.
now
So
what
we're
we're
gonna
just
subtract
solving.
16.
Right. And we
So
get
I have
x squared is equal to negative
16.
Well, what are we gonna do?
Undo a square root, I got a square root, but
Yep.
when I square root, I need to put a plus or minus out
You
front.
got it.
So I got square root negative 16
X is
equals
equal to X.
Now we don't like negatives,
No.
so we gotta get rid of that. And what letter makes a negative under a square root? So we
I.
gotta pull that out. So I have x equals plus or minus
I.
square root 16.
And what is the square root of 16?
4.
So our final
X
answer,
equals plus or minus
4i. Let's highlight that. So, what's the degree of this polynomial?
Well, right up here it says 4. So we should have 4 answers.
And do
We have 1, 2,
3,
plus or minus
4.
is 3, 4.
Because plus or minus means if we draw, like, you see those
Sure.
two little
Yep,
arrows?
yep, I
you know
got
what
it,
I
I
mean?
got
You know
it,
what I mean.
I got it. We got
4i.
and negative 4i.
And you do not have to do what I just had Miss
No.
Boyd do. Plus or minus is totally perfect.
Perfect.
Great. That was example 1.
All right.
So let's go to example 2. However, we can't.
No,
Because-
it says use a graphing calculator.
And you know why? Because there's 1,
2,
2, 3, 4,
4,
5. The minute there's more than 4 terms, we cannot factor. So
Nope.
we are going to do that in class.
Okay.
And that in class.
Yep, too many.
So here are the video questions. If you look at number 1, how many zeros, roots, does this equation have? So we didn't explain how to use the graphing calculator, so all you're doing is telling us how many. Then number 2, solve the equation by finding all the roots. Because there are 4 terms, you will factor by grouping. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.